What's going on, everybody? It's PapaStones coming back with another video. So, like I said last week, spoiler season I thought was in full effect. Sure, we are. Look, I don't know if you can see it. You look up at the top there, all the tabs we got to go through. So, we're going to jump right into this and just get it rolling. First things first, we're going leaders. We got Lando. It is a blue heroism action. For one, you can play a unit from your hand, paying its cost. And if you do, and you control a ground and a space unit, give a shield token to a unit. And then it flips over on 7. It is a 5/7 Sentinel, or you can pilot it as a +5/+5. Attached unit gains Sentinel. When deployed as an upgrade, you may give a shield token to a unit in a different arena. So basically, you can give a ground unit a shield when you deploy it, I guess. This is basically just Luke with more steps. I mean, sure, Luke is only on the particular unit, but I don't know. Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse. I don't know. It just doesn't seem great, to be honest, but we'll see. Moving on, though, we have Admiral Pet. This is a green black action. Play a capital ship unit from your hand. It costs 1 less. And then it flips on 5 as a 2/7, and each capital ship unit you play costs 2 less. Honestly, nothing like too sexy about this one, but I think this could be a decent like control leader just because a lot of the capital ships, I mean there's a couple that aren't, but a good chunk of the capital ships are all big units. Plus there's like capital ships that are like 6 cost, 7 cost, whatever. So you could technically, ramp up to 5, let's say like resupply, super laser, whatever. And then next turn, drop a 7 cost ship for 5 or a 6 cost ship for 4 or whatever. Like, and then, later on down the line, if you have it later, you could drop like a 7 cost Avenger, you could drop an 8 cost Devastator, whatever it may be. I think it'll be a control style leader, but if it does pan out, it could be actually pretty decent. So it might be worth looking at. Moving on, then, we have Admiral Akbar. It's a yellow-white leader. In action for 1, you can exhaust a non-leader unit. If you do, its controller creates an X-Wing token. And then on the back, it is a 6 cost 3/8 Rebel official. I guess I probably should have mentioned that in the last ones, but oh well. 683 or 638 Rebel official. On attack, you may exhaust unit. If you do, its controller creates an X-Wing token. Um, if you watch the Market Watch, this is why I was talking about Chancellor Palpatine. You can, in theory, exhaust your own units to create tokens that would be ready, kind of thing. However, there are other cards that might like benefit from your opponent having tokens, so like it could be interesting. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but it's got potential, I guess. We'll see. Moving on to cards, though, we're into the blue category here. We have Banshee. This is a 5 cost blue black 4/5 uncommon separatist vehicle fighter. On attack, you may deal damage to a unit equal to the amount of damage on this unit. Eh. I mean, it's okay. Maybe, possibly, you could throw this in something like Kira, right? Like, you ping it for 2 damage, give it a shield, so now it's a 4/3 that deals 2 on attack. Um, things that, like, you try and damage your own guys is probably where this will shine. Because, like, if you could make it like a 1 health unit that has some protection built in or something like that, this could get a little dangerous. But other than that, it's kind of just an average card, I think. Moving on, though, we got Fleet Interdictor. This is a 7 cost, blue black, 6/6 common. It's an Imperial vehicle capital ship. It has Sentinel, and when defeated, you may defeat a space unit that costs 3 or less. For 7 costs, this seems pretty rough. Um, I don't know. 7 cost 6/6 is okay, I guess. That artwork is horrible, I just want to say. Sorry, no offense to whoever did it, but it kind of looks like you put a Lego on a piece of tie-dye. Um, Besides the point, though, I think in Piet this could be okay, right? We were just talking about him. You flip him on 5 resources, then you could play this for 5 mana. That's not bad. Um, but like as a standalone card, it's probably average at best. Moving on though, Cassian Andor here. We got a 3-cost blue-white 3/4 rare. It also has piloting for 2, blue and white also. Attached unit gains on attack, discard a card from the defending player's deck. If that card costs 3 or less, draw a card. The upgrade is +1/+3. Not a bad card. Um, Stats are okay, right? There's 3-cost 3/4s that see play currently. However, with Tarkentown running around, they're kind of falling out. It's mostly like 3-cost 3/5s, but you're probably realistically looking to play this as a pilot and like unit as a backup if you have to. It's also still a rebel too, so I could see that aspect going for it, but getting to give something +1/+3 isn't a bad stat upgrade for 2, and you maybe draw cards if they're playing a lot of low cost stuff. So it could be good. It could be average, but we'll see. Maybe Mill starts to work its way in. Next, we got Gold Leader. This is a 6-cost blue-white 5/5 uncommon rebel vehicle transport. It is shielded, and while this unit is defending, the attacker gets -1/-0. So, as a standalone card, it's kind of bad. I think if you have a way to give this Sentinel, it gets a lot better. But if you don't, like if you just play this on its own, it's kind of not fantastic. Because you just wouldn't attack it, right? Just work your way around it, but who knows? Maybe that's just me. Speaking of Sentinel, though, we got Academy Graduate, 2-cost blue, common, 1/2 with Sentinel, and it also pilots for 2 and gives +1/+2, and the attached unit gains Sentinel. So, like, unless you're desperate, you'll probably never play this on the ground because it's the same exact stats when it's an upgrade. Does the same thing. Like, unless you really need a Sentinel in ground immediately, it'll only be played as a pilot. But, like, say you paired this with that gold leader you just had on 8 resources or whatever. You slapped a gold leader down, you gave it Academy Graduate. Now it's a 6/7 shielded that gets -1 when they attack it. So it might see some niche play there, but as a whole, I don't know, it's kind of not fantastic. Moving on, we got green stuff now. We got the Invisible Hand. This is a green 6-cost green black, sorry, a rare 6/6 separatist vehicle capital ship. Back to the every time I see capital ship now, I'm gonna think of Piet. Sorry. Maybe the deck doesn't do anything, but it just kind of immediately draws my eye. So it can be anywhere from like 5 to 4 to 6, you know. So moving on though, when played and when this unit completes an attack and survives, you may search the top 8 cards of your deck for a droid unit, reveal it, and draw it. If it costs 2 or less, you may play it for free. Put the other cards on the bottom of your deck in a random order. Ooh, actually, looking back, I was very hyped on Count Dooku from set 3, the Separatist exploit stuff. This also could go in there, and you wouldn't have to be as capital ship focused like you would with Piet. And you could go around the Separatist tag, play some low cost droids, maybe get some free stuff, or you could just draw a card. I mean, draw an expensive droid still fine if it's not free. I mean, I actually like this card. Will it be good? Depends, because I was hyped up on Dooku, but exploit was obviously not a mechanic that was doing well yet. So maybe that happens. Maybe Piet plays it just to try and draw a droid, but I don't know. I think it's a decent card. 6 cost for 6/6 isn't bad. It has a win played and on attack. Don't hate this one. We now have Nien Nun, but I don't know how to say that. Sorry. Um, it is a 1 cost green white 1/2 rare. This unit gets +1/+0 for each other friendly pilot unit and upgrade, and then it pilots attached unit gets +1/+0 for each other friendly pilot unit and upgrade. Um, it's okay. It's definitely not bad. It's better than, I mean, the other one was a common that gave Sentinel, but the same stats for 2. This one gives at minimum, or does it say each other? It does say each other. Okay. So it gives minimum +1/+2, but if you're playing like other pilots and stuff, it could be better. It costs 1. I think this will have some place. It's a cheap upgrade, so we'll see. It's not bad though. Looking for it for my Han Odd. We'll see though. I'm still working on that list. Need to see more stuff. Now we got Red Leader. This is a 4 cost green white uncommon 3/4 rebel vehicle fighter. This unit costs 1 less to play for each friendly pilot unit and upgrade. When a pilot upgrade attaches to this unit, create an X-Wing token. Um, it's okay. I mean, you could get it out possibly for cheap if you are doing other piloting right. Um, Other than that, like maybe with the last card we just looked at, you could play this and then play the Nien. So like 5 costs, you would get this upgraded and an X-Wing. Maybe it's got some possibilities, but the stats are, they're not horrible, I guess. They're not great, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one. Kind of in a weird spot now. Like everything's so new. I'm not sure how to feel, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Let's just put that out there. Next, we got Resupply Carrier. This is a 6 cost green 4/5 common Imperial vehicle capital ship. When played, you may put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. I don't want to keep going back to Piet, but I really do. Like, you could play. I don't know if I'm just thinking of it in my head, but like, I'm just imagining it like when you played Boba in the Boba Green, right? Like your whole game plan was like mulligan for a ramp. You just mulligan for like a super laser or a resupply, play that, then you're on 5 resources. This comes out, you ramp again, you're on 7 resources. Also, possibly Palpatine, because I know they really like to ramp. The double green version plays 9 ramp. This could technically be 12 ramp, or you could play the non double green version and just play 9 ramp with this. The stats aren't great for what it is, right? 6 for 4/5 isn't fantastic, but other ways to get ramp, I don't hate, especially for those decks that want to go later. Like I said with Piet, you're going to be playing all these big capital ships, so you want to get there as soon as possible. So I can see a world, realistically, like you could, because the front side makes it cost 1 less. You could just on 5 after you ramped, you could use the regular effect to play this, get your ramp, and then next turn you'd be at 7 resources, so you could flip it and play like an Avenger or whatever, you know. I don't know. I think this could be playable. Now we're into red here. We got Devastator. This is a 8 cost red black legendary 9/6 Imperial vehicle capital ship. Capital ship again. You assign all indirect damage you deal to opponents, and when played, deal 4 indirect damage to each opponent. So basically, when you play this, you get to do an open fire or 4 to base. I don't hate it. Immediately my mind goes to Triple Dark Raid, right? You could play this in Django Red right now and Triple Dark Raid on 6 resources and deal 4 damage to their base, attack their base for 9. That kind of freaks me out a little bit, but even not, like, there's ways this can work, especially with the other legendary that was revealed with it. We're actually gonna jump to it to, like, put them together, I think. But I think this card's actually pretty good just because it's flexible, whatever it may be. We're gonna jump to this one though. It's a Planetary Bombardment. It's a 6 cost legendary event in red that says deal 8 indirect damage to a player. If you control a capital ship unit, deal 12 instead. I'm just imagining a world. I don't know if it's gonna be viable by any means, but I'm thinking of like a like not even a triple dark raid into that kind of thing, but like a hard control style list where like you're running red and you get to 14 resources. You play the big Devastator, hit him in the face for 4. You play a bombardment, hit him for 12, and it was just like 16 damage out of nowhere kind of thing. Um, or even just like there are turns in like hard control mirrors. I mean, it obviously wouldn't matter as much generally, but like you could just say there's nothing on board, you just play this, steal 8. Like it's okay. I don't think it's great, but I think there'll be freaky combos that you'll be able to pull off with Devastator. So I don't know. But as a standalone card, they'll just pick like a bad unit 99% of the time, right? They'll just be like, oh, you can ping my crafty smuggler for 8. You know what I mean? Like, so who knows? Kind of a waste of a slot, but it could see a cool combo with Devastator. So I'm not saying it's awful. Next, we got a Red Squadron Ywing. This is a 2 cost red white 1/3 Rebel Vehicle Fighter. Common. On attack, deal 3 indirect damage to the defending player. I'm curious if this is good enough to make the cut in the Sabine because it's kind of annoying, honestly. Sure, it technically only attacks for 1, but 3 indirect damage isn't anything to like scoff at for the most part, especially as like a turn 1 drop. Like imagine you play, say you're playing, I'm just thinking Sabine specifically, even though it doesn't have to be there, right? But say you're playing Sabine against something else, you play Red Squadron Ywing, they play a Battlefield Marine. You have the first swing, so you attack base for 1. Do they take 3 extra damage to their base, or do they clear their Battlefield Marine? So it's like it has niche spots. 3 indirect is pretty solid from a starting standpoint. I mean, if they have ways to answer it, it'll feel a lot worse, right? Because they could just run something into it. But I don't know. I don't hate this card, but we'll see if the indirect pans out. Now we're on to yellow, last actual color. We're almost there. Sorry, this was going to be a longer one. There's lots of cards. We got Blade Squadron B-Wing. This is a 3 cost yellow white common 3/3 Rebel Vehicle Fighter. When played, if another player controls 3 or more exhausted units, give a shield token to a unit. This is kind of going back to Akbar about you might want them to have your tokens, I guess, right? However, them having 3 or more exhausted units just to get a shield token probably isn't worth it. So I don't think this will see much action, but I could be wrong. Moving on, we have Home 1. This is a 9 cost yellow white Rebel Vehicle Capital Ship. It is a legendary. It's 7/8. If an opponent controls 3 or more space units, this costs 3 less to play. It also has ambush. Um, this doesn't feel. I don't know. This doesn't feel like a legendary to me. I like, I feel like this would have to be in something like that Akbar thing where you're, like, giving them space tokens, I guess, and that's saying they're not clearing off the space tokens you're giving them. Because paying 9 for a 7/8 ambush isn't that crazy, right? We already have, like, that Arctic Quizzins guy, I forget what it's called, actually, quick Google, but we already have that dude who's, like, the green one, it, like, gives you something else when it ambushes. But, I'll have to look later, and it's got the same stats. The only way this is viable is if you can play it for 6, then it's not bad, right? But I can't imagine you'll really wanna be paying 9 for this, so you'll need them to be, like, very leaned into space. Maybe it's like a sideboard, like, say you're playing yellow-white and you think you're gonna run into space decks, then this comes in, right? But other than that, it's a little underwhelming, but maybe it fits the bill in Odd Han just because it's technically an odd cost, but you might get it for 6 someday. Who knows? So, who knows? But kind of feels like an underwhelming legendary to me. Then you have It's a Trap. It is a 3 cost yellow white rare. If an opponent controls more space units than you, ready each space unit you control. This literally kind of feels like a trap. This would have to be like you're playing something space versus something space to where you have enough space units, but they have more, but they don't want to trade their units because they think they're racing. Um, yeah, I don't like this card. I like the artwork. The artwork's kind of fire, if you ask me, but I don't think the card itself is that good. Probably too niche, realistically. Then you got Independent Smuggler. This is a 1 cost yellow 1/1 with raid 1. It also has piloting for 1, and you may give that unit +1/+1 and raid 1. Um, it's not bad, honestly. I think cheap upgrade gives it raid 1. You're basically paying 1 to give your spaceship +2/+1 on attack. Um, so the spaceship that always comes to mind for some reason is Green Squadron Ywing. Your Green Squadron is now a 2/4 that attacks for 5 because it has raid 2 and raid 1. Or like if you put this on like a Millennium Falcon or even like a turn 1 thing, like say you play like a Cartel Turncoat, which is that 2/3 yellow spaceship. Then you give this +1/+1. It's a 3/4. It attacks for 4. You could do that as a turn 1 play. Yeah, I think this one's actually a decent one. So there is that. And last but not least, we got one non-specific color. I guess it's black, right? We got Quzar Tie Carrier. It is a 5/7/6 cost Imperial vehicle capital ship. On attack, create a TIE fighter token, which is a 1/1 spaceship. Meh. I mean, it's not bad, I guess. It's not great, but I feel like there's better things you could be doing for 6. Like 6 cost capital ship specifically. You got like Ruthless Raider. You got that Resupply Carrier if you're trying to ramp. 5/7 is not a horrible stat line though. It doesn't get killed by fire spray. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's kind of just like I said. There's better things to be doing for 6 resources, but only time will tell. That's all I got this time. There was a lot of cards, so if you stuck around to the end, I really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. Let me know what you guys think. Anything you're looking forward to, anything you think I got right, think I got wrong. Let me know. I'm more than willing to talk and pitch back ideas back and forth. Yeah, so drop a thumbs up for me if you enjoyed. Comment down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.